Alright, so we're doing this again. I had this idea for a very long time. I had all of these ideas of fan art since like the beginning of the year. SMP Fanart. Let's get on with this. I actually kind of have a bit to say about these things. A lot of them ended up having crashed footage, which is sad. This first one I titled Nightmare. It's obviously inspired by Ranboo and like the stuff that he went through in what's it called? His panic room thing. There we go, panic room. That's the word. I had a few other ideas of other Ranboo art that I wanted to do, but this one ended up being in my mind the most often. And this is also the one that I did the day of. So basically this entire sequence that you're seeing here, I did everything the day of, including editing the photo. So the original photo was actually of the same thing, but like the head of the monster was like more moved upward and the head of the monster wasn't as down. And Ranboo was also a lot more tilted, and I actually had to reinstall paint.net for this one so that I could just move things around because I didn't like how it was placed. A lot of these I'm really proud of, and I did want to make kind of like a glitchy look for the dream monster because that's usually what you see with his when he shows up. And I wanted the monster to look very starved and monstery while still looking a bit like Dream, which I'm not too sure how well that is perceived because one of the other fan art that I have in this group of fan art that I made this time is actually of a dream demon, basically like a dreamin that's more non-monster like. I don't know how this... Anyways, oh, you know, the idea of this dream, the Dreamin, is the same idea for Alexandrite in Steven Universe. If anyone has watched Steven Universe, Alexandrite, she's got the mouth that opens up underneath her chin. That's basically to symbolize amethyst, her jaw opens up and then she consumes everything. That's kind of what I was thinking here, but it didn't translate out as well as I thought it would be. It just kind of looks like dog-like creature is wearing a mask and not like he's got a second jaw opening up, but that might just because I made it look too much like a jaw and not like some thing that's not really supposed to be there. This one I've actually had the drawing laying around for a while now, and I used a reference for the jacket, not the hoodie part, but the jacket. The hoodie part came from the animatic. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for Technoblade, but then I thought it would be really cool if it was just a jacket and not actually a cape or anything. Kind of modernizing the classic Technoblade design where he has the cape. But in reality, when I think about it, he does actually wear a jacket. It's not like a cape or anything. If you look close enough on his character, it is literally just a jacket. But I thought it was being creative, so whatever floats my boat, I guess. And I used this watercolor bleeding texture to make it look more velvety and stuff. This idea came from me listening to Dirty Paws and just thinking this could work as an animatic, but I'm lazy, so I'm just going to do this Creatures of Snow thing as Technoblade. And so technically in the full picture there's text at the top that says the Creatures of Snow. I also had to use a reference for the pig skull mask and also his braids. I never learned how to draw braids properly. The unfortunate bit is that halfway through this, I ended up taking a break and stopping OBS, and then when I started it again, it wasn't until I finished the entire thing that I looked back on it and realized that the thing OBS fucking crashed and it took down like the entire hair shading portion of it. The sad part is that it took so much footage. I even did the crown and like the most of the stuff. Also, I had a very, very fun time messing around with the snow. 2 hours for both this one and the Nightmare one. This one is probably the shortest one because it literally just took an hour and half of the footage just freaking exploded and now it's just in 2 parts. This one I've had the idea for since I saw them destroy the Manberg, but I have 2 versions of this. This one that I actually decided to do, and then another one where it was Dream but like leaning forward a little bit and kind of like looking down at the mess, because either one of them just looked so, I don't know, malicious. I'm not too sure. In fact, I really like how everything turned out here. I just wish that I was able to capture more footage of this. However, I think that I did really good with the lighting and the fire. But to be fair, those were all just like because I used the right brushes. It was a really simple, really simple sketch that I did that I used for most of these, and then I just improvised. This was probably like one of the longest. This one and the Karl one. I actually really liked how this hat turned out. For Filza, I think the one thing that really gave me a hard time was like the withers in the background, but that's not really Filza. I've had this idea as long as I've had the last one, which was since I watched them freaking destroy the entire nation that anyways, he just kind of is holding a wither skull and he's like on top of the beehive making all the withers. There's some lost footage in this one as well that I'm kind of mad about. The one thing that I really did like in this drawing, however, is how I did the wings. There's always like some type of debate on how the design should go for some of these characters, unless there's like an official design that is posted. But basically, I've seen an animatic where he's drawn with bug wings, and that is true because elytra is literally the word that's used for the hard outer shell of a bug's wing, and I looked it up too. But a lot of people like drawing him with like raven or crow wings, or like bird wings basically. They're just feathered. So I decided to mush those two together and make it look like he has the hard outer shell for like the elytra bit, but it's like bird wings, and they have like the veins of a bug, and they're kind of see-through. I think that was cool, and I'm proud of that, but the wither design is not really my favorite design in the world, but I'm sticking with it. I like the idea of like them having this central fire where it's like they have this like life fire basically in their core, and then they have like the fire eyes, but I feel like I don't really like their faces basically. I don't really like how I made their eyes look, if that makes sense. I really don't know if anything that I say makes sense until I listen back on it and I'm like, what was that trying to say? I think it was mostly just the mixing and shading of all of these withers that took so freaking forever, and also like trying to figure out their fire. But I really like the after effects that I put on this, and I couldn't make like a destroyed Manberg in the background, so I had to kind of like think of what would even be in the background.